Hey Fatheads, welcome to another episode of Sharing Our Pairings, episode 13, Hard Cider Rules, because Hard Cider does rules. I'm your host, Cigar Surgeon. Rob didn't want to attend. He's sick. He's being a baby. We're going to cut him some slack as a guest host. So we have a better, newer 2.0 guest host, Aaron from Blind Man's Puff. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks very much for hosting a short notice. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on the show.
I mean, do you? Because, I mean, I'm sure a few people out there are thinking we're nuts pairing apple cider with cigars. I mean, I know we got a lot of flack for doing some of the stuff in the past, but apple cider, I think, is one of the most out there pairings that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to try different stuff, so you never know. You might find a diamond in the rough out there with a certain cigar and a certain cider, and that might just be that fit the bill for somebody.
Well, I mean, I hope so, because I'd hate to think that we went out and spent like $40-50 on these ciders and aren't going to get anything from it, because that seems like a huge waste.
Worst case, you can always get hammered.
Isn't that the goal of the show? I mean, drink responsibly. Drink responsibly, everyone out there. So, Aaron, for those of the people that don't go to your website and should, you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Aaron from Blind Man's Puff. Basically, what our website is we do blind cigar reviews with a panel. So I get the cigars, I take the bands off them, I put a blank band on there with a number. I send it out to the reviewers. They review it not knowing what it is. They submit their reviews, and we basically compile all their scores and their notes, and then we post that up on the site. And once we post it on the site, they get to see what it is at the same time that everybody else that's reading the review does. So, trying to take out some bias from reviews. People that like certain brands, they might think it's a better cigar than it is, or they might think it's a worse cigar than it is based on preconceived notions.
And how long have you been at that for now?
Since February of 2013, so in a few months it'll be 2 years.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So have you done a lot of, obviously you do a lot of blind cigar smoking. Have you done any pairing on your own before?
Not too many. I've done, all kind of off-the-cuff stuff, different bourbons, whiskeys. I've done a lot of coffee, actually, because that seems to be a pretty easy one to get through. But beer off and on.
Yeah, I find, I love my whiskey, but I think in the pairing and certainly on my own, I think we found that beer pretty much you can pair with almost anything. Like, beer is kind of, and maybe that's why so many people drink beer, is that beer pretty much goes with everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's different, all the different styles, so some are going to go better than others, but just depending on what you pick is going to maybe dictate the style that you should go for.
So we have some pretty opposite cigars tonight, which is kind of funny, but part of the fun. So I ended up going, or I should say the audience ended up going with the Brickhouse Mighty Maduro. I love this cigar. Obviously I love it because of the price point, but price point isn't everything. This is also a delicious cigar, and I've said it before in shows. I have a box of these. I have a box of these because they're delicious, not just because I'm, cheap bastard. They're actually quite tasty and remarkably complex for the dollar value. That is, I do not understand how they can make a cigar this good for the dollar value that it is. It's shocking to me.
Yep.
What are you smoking?
I am smoking a Perdomo Reserve 10th anniversary champagne, and the reason I went with this one is because typically apple cider is a kind of an option for people that don't drink champagne, the non-alcoholic version. So since we're doing cider, and cider is typically apples, I thought trying to go with something champagne might fit the bill. So we'll see how it goes. This is I haven't smoked one in quite a while. It's a bit fuller than I remember it being, just because it's a Connecticut wrapped cigar, but I think it might hold up pretty well to the ciders.
And we talked a little bit about that before the show, and I think you're right. I think, I had a few cigars on display for the audience to pick from. I was kind of leaning towards the Hemingway because my thought was a little bit less full-bodied, and I'm with you. I think that apple cider, you do need to cut the sweetness, but there's a potential there for something very full-bodied and very heavy with a Maduro wrapper to overpower it. Now that being said, we could completely confound that expectation. We've certainly done that in the past, so that might happen tonight. But maybe I'll talk about. So I've got 4 ciders because I'm a budding alcoholic. So the first cider, it's certainly more apple-y looking than the other 3. This is from Wildwood. Wildwood is out of England. I've actually never had their cider before, but it's going to be interesting because I drank a lot of cider, so I'm sure England knows how to make a good cider. The second one is Magners. Magners actually I've never had before, but I've had the other one that they do, which is Bulmers. And I'm a big fan of Bulmers. It's kind of a drier cider for me, kind of like drier ciders. Strongbow, I mean, sad to say it's kind of becoming the quote-unquote generic cider, but you know, for a long time, Strongbow was kind of the cider that was hard to find, at least up here in Canada. And last but not least, there's the Strongbow, by the way. You can see it's quite a bit clearer than the... and I think that probably goes with it being a dry cider. And then the Duke cider, which, again, quite a bit clearer. Almost looks like apple juice, really, which, in essence, it really is, just like booze.
Right, yeah.
And you kind of mixed it up. You have a few different things going on there.
I did. So this is the first one. This is Blackthorn. So this is another English cider. So it's supposed to be on the drier side. So we'll see how that goes. The second one is from a beer manufacturer that I'm sure everybody knows. This is what it looks like in the glass. It is made by Stella. So it's a cider from them that I just came across a couple months ago. So I've had this one before, so I have a bit of an expectation of what it's going to be like. The third one is... I
didn't even know that Stella made cider. That's a totally... I would not have expected that.
Yeah. So the third one is going to be quite a bit of a deviation, I think, from the rest of what we got. So as you can see, it's a very different color.
Yeah, that's an unusual color of apple. I've never seen that before.
It is. So this is Fin River. So this is actually a blackcurrant cider, and this one comes out of Washington. So I'm very interested to see how that one goes because it's going to be, you know, completely different taste. And then the last one here is a little slightly different color than the first two. And this is Reverend Nat's hard cider, and this is called Hallelujah Hopricot. So it's got hops and apricot added to it. So we'll see how that goes.
That's actually interesting because, and we talked a little bit about this before the show, but when I was looking at ciders, and I haven't been shopping for ciders in a long time because I mean, I'm an alcoholic, but budding alcoholic, I should say. I don't need an intervention at this point. But I've been drinking a lot of whiskey, beer, port, bourbon. I haven't really drank cider in a while because, you know, it's hard to fit in the rotation. And I could not believe the number of ciders that were on the shelf. I was expecting it to be a struggle to find, and what I actually found was there's too many choices.
Yeah, and I think now is kind of the time of the year for the ciders to start making, you know, a big push. I know out here there's some areas that are known for apples, so this is the big time for non-alcoholic cider to make its appearance. So, you know, nice fall, autumn drink.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I mean, there were some users, some fed heads out there that mentioned that they don't really drink. And I think one of the nice things about cider is you can get a non-alcoholic cider. You can get a hot cider. And I think, especially on a night like tonight where it's a little cool for me, I would totally kill for a nice spiced apple cider to warm me up. I think that'd be fantastic. I mean, I know it doesn't have booze in it, and the show isn't necessarily about booze, but I think that'd be really tasty.
Yeah, and at these places, these apple orchards, that, you know, they invite you to come out and pick apples and all that stuff, and they sell what they call apple beer. And basically, what the apple beer is, it's their cider made from their apples, poured into a cup that's filled with Bud Light or Coors Light. And it doesn't sound like it would be all that appetizing.
No, it really doesn't.
It's actually pretty damn good. So,
interesting.
You know, who knows?
Well, I'm curious how the last one's going to go. I mean, we're going to go in order, but I was tempted by a bottle on the shelf that was hop added cider, and I thought, that's kind of interesting to me to add hops to cider because that's not something I would have expected. But they're the brewery, and I'm sure they know best, so I'm sure that's probably pretty tasty.
Right.
So, so far, obviously, I'm loving the Brickhouse Mighty Mighty Maduro. Like I said, this is a really great cigar. It's earthy, it's heavy, it's got some leather in it, it's got some chocolate and some coffee. I mean, it's just a really tasty cigar. And I've kind of been cheating. I've been sipping off my first apple cider from Wynwood before we started, and it is a tasty cider. But it is exactly what I feared about pairing a sort of a sweeter cider with the cigar, and that is they're so contrasting that really they don't play off very well against each other, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I think your comment about champagne really strikes home for me here, because I think the Wynwood, to me, is very champagne-like. That is, it's got that sort of effervescent quality. It's very sweet, almost too sweet actually with this cigar. So I think I wish I had a Perdomo or something a little bit more subtle, a little bit lighter to go with this, because I think they would pair really well. Maybe something with a little hay in it. On its, like I said, this pairing definitely not a match, but I think you could find a good pairing. How's the first beverage going for you?
So I'm going with the Blackthorn first.
Okay.
It's very, what I would consider flat. There's not any, carbonation or anything like that to it, and I would almost say that this is a less sweet apple juice.
Interesting.
You don't really get the taste of alcohol from it. It would just be like if you were drinking apple juice that had, somehow you took the sugar out of it. So it doesn't overpower the cigar at all. It's really light. I've never had Blackthorn before, so I don't know what the, kind of what the background is on it. If it's a pretty standard, mass-produced cider or not, and if the quality is high or not. But it's something basic. I wouldn't go running out for another can of it.
So I think we could say with relative confidence that's not going to win your pairing of the night.
Well, it depends on how the other ones go, but I don't think so.
All right. So I'm going to move on. Normally we devote like 15 minutes, but I mean, like I said, this Wynwood really tasty, and I think it would pair excellent with something, even a Cuban cigar, maybe something from Partagas, Bolivar, something like just that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more hay would go excellent with that. But unfortunately, in this case, not a winning combination, and that's how it goes. So I'm going to move on to the Magners, and it is dark, very dry. And interestingly enough, I think I've got almost a clone of what you were just describing, because I was expecting it to be quite dry, and it's literally like a carbonated apple juice. So I'm not getting any sweetness out of it. I mean, it tastes good, but I mean it just doesn't seem to have any character to it in my mind.
Yeah.
So I think I'll try a couple puffs here, but I think this cigar is just going to absolutely stampede over this cider.
Mm-hmm.
How's the cigar holding you?
Cigar's doing good. I'm just going with the Stella now.
All right.
And it's I got the real clear, super dry ones, but this one more of a full-on apple juice. You get some of the sweetness with it.
Okay.
It's got a really good nose to it, and I would say that this is like drinking a apple Jolly Rancher. It's really got that, after you're done with it, it's got the finish of kind of once you're done with that Jolly Rancher, you still have that,
sour punch.
that on your tongue and the roof of your mouth. that's kind of what this has got. So.
Now, we didn't really talk about it before the show. I kind of made reference to the cost here, but do you remember what you paid for the first two?
Yeah, so I paid $250 for the Blackthorn.
That's pretty
And
cheap.
yeah, it's a 16.9 ounce can. And the Stella was $2. And it's a normal 12-ounce bottle.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they come in 4-packs.
So I had because we were talking before the show. What was interesting is that some of these are available in singles, like this Winwood or Wildwood, I should say, was available in a single, and I think it's quite reasonable. It's like $4.50 or something like that, which to be expected up here. The Magners was a 4-pack, and I think I paid $9 or $10 for that. And then the Strongbow and the Dukes. I actually got the Dukes as a single. I think it was like $2.50 for a can, and it's it's a big can.
Right.
Pretty good value. So, I mean, it's good. I think it's good to get them in singles for the show, but obviously, I think for the distillery or the brewery, I should say, they're probably wanting to sell those as 4-packs.
Yeah, I was able to get them all as singles. I have some really nice bottle shops around, so they typically sell stuff in they break them out into singles for you. But yeah, I mean, I think the Stella is good enough that a 4-pack is not a waste of money.
And you said that's something you normally enjoy? Like that's a pretty normal buy for you?
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm aware of it, I think that that would be something that would be a good fit. If you're not in the mood for beer, something a little more sweet, that'd be the thing to go with.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head with this time of the year, and I think for me, I think apple cider really does fit the sort of fall-ish spirit of things. Like, to me, typically I like ciders when it's hot outside, but just as this sort of patio season, at least up here, is starting to close out, that's the time where I'll switch over from beer on a patio to cider because I find it a little bit more refreshing, not as heavy as some beers. And then, as we move late into the fall and start to get a little snow on the ground and patios start to close, that's when I go for the darker beers, I think.
Yeah.
So this Magners is it's tasty, but again, I don't think it carries enough. I honestly think that would be great with the Fuente, with the Hemingway.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hay of the Hemingway would probably pull a lot out of this, but I think I'm probably missing a ton of the character off of that cider because the cigar is so full-bodied.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Some of them might not match up well.
So I'm just gonna carry right on to one of my favorites, which is the Strongbow. The thing I like about Strongbow, and the reason I picked it is obviously I'm cheating because I know it, but it's dry. It's very dry, and you sort of mentioned that Jolly Rancher aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the nice thing about the Strongbow is that it's not going to blow you away with sweetness. It's got a big apple flavor to it, but then it's very dry finish, so it just goes away, and it's not going to, for the Strongbow, it's not going to linger for a really long time.
Right.
Take a sip of that, see how it goes. Man, this has too much cigar to contend with. Like, the sort of leather finish of that brick house is just absolutely destroying the cider. I think I might actually have to let my palate clear and just guzzle this a little bit to get my palate back. How's that black currant treating you?
I'm gonna try it right now. I'm just kind of getting the nose off of it. I don't know. So it's got a little bit of a, almost want to say like kind of a powdery taste or sensation.
That's unusual.
It's not sweet. it's a little tart, which I kind of expected.
Yeah.
But I also thought I might get some sweetness out of it, but not really much.
I mean, I love blackcurrant in a lot of things. I mean, when you said that it was a blackcurrant cider, I was kind of thinking it would be, just a really punch in the face, almost like cranberry, where it would just be almost too strong. Actually, I was kind of thinking that your blackcurrant would overpower your cigar.
Yeah, it kind of does actually. After I got a couple sips in, that kind of powdery sensation went away. So I'm not sure if that was just the initial whatever, or just once you kind of get it on your palate, it kind of goes away. I mean, it's good on its own. Starting to get more of the fruit flavor now, but I think with the cigar, it's not a good pairing.
I think Man Angel or 302JH, I should say, he's making the suggestion, or he's building off your suggestion of hot chocolate, and I think people don't maybe know this, but I'm getting to the end of the season here where I'm going to be sitting in snow next week probably.
Right.
And, I think we're doing classic cocktails next week, which will be fun. But I'm sure I'll be wishing that I had some hot chocolate because it's going to be cold. 302GH also mentions the Cameroon. And I think that's an interesting suggestion. I think Cameroon, he's right, Cameroon might be a really good pick with a cider because of that sort of nutty sweetness that you get out of a Cameroon. I think that might be a good pairing.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Strongbow, and I know Strongbow very well, and to me Strongbow's got a really tart finish, and I can't taste that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming through at the end, but I mean, it's like apple cider mixed with leather. And that's not really a winning combination.
Right. Yep. Yeah, the blackcurrant's getting a little sweeter as I go along with it. So.
You still getting the powderiness out of it?
No, that was just just when I got the first nose off of it and the first sip, and then after that, it's been gone since then. So, I'm not sure what to attribute that to. I mean, I think I could probably sip on that, through the whole bottle, but just not pairing it with a cigar.
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting thing is that, most of these ciders, at least my ciders, 5% ABV, 5.3% ABV. That's not bad. I mean, you consider that the Magnus is 4.5, so that's not bad. I mean, they do come in a massive, massive can. So, I mean, the glasses you see here, that's really only a half pour. That's half the can because I need to be able to speak by the end of the show. But for $2.50, that's a pretty good value for 500, half liter. Well, I don't know what that would be in American units. Freedom units, what is that, 8 ounces? No.
No.
5 ounces?
So. How many?
500 milliliters. I don't know what that turns out to in Freedom units.
No, you're probably looking at 18 ounces, something like that, I would guess. Yeah.
That's pretty good value for $2.50.
Yeah. So for the ones I had, the Blackthorn is 6%. The Stella is 4.5%, and then the Finn River and the River Nats are both 6.5 or 6.9, I guess. So they got a little punch to them, I guess.
Now, the one thing I didn't mention here is that the Dukes is actually from, because I like to throw a little Canadian content in here. They're from Tree Brewing Company, which is out of Kelowna. And Kelowna is really it's orchard country, so they've got tons of apple orchards, if you want any kind of fruit in the fall, late summer, that is the place to go. So I threw them in at the end because I think they're more of a dry cider. I'm going to move on to them in a minute here. But I'm not surprised that most of the ciders are out of Ireland or England because in my experience, most of the ciders I've picked sort of by default are English ciders. But it's interesting that You have a bunch of ciders that are all over the place, and I know on the shelf I was seeing ciders that were, all over the United States as well.
Yeah, the first two, one is England, and the other one is wherever Stella's from, Belgium, whatever.
Belgium?
And then Finn River is Washington, and
which makes sense.
Reverend Nats is Oregon, I believe.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't know a ton about the states, but Washington and Oregon are pretty big orchard countries, aren't they?
Yeah, big apple states. Yep.
Yeah. So that makes sense. What are you going to do with an entire orchard of apples? You can only make so much apple pie.
Right.
Start turning it into booze. Makes sense.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna move over to the last one. I'm gonna hope that it saves me here. But so far the trend has not been good. Mighty Maduro, delicious cigar. Maybe not the right thing to go with cider. How's your experience so far with the Perdomo? Are you finding anything that's really standing out for you, or is it?
The Stella really goes well with it because the Stella's sweet's got that candy kind of flavor, and then the Perdomo kind of cuts through it when you smoke on it a little bit. So you get to switch back and forth with that cigar. The other ones, I didn't find that there was too much complementary flavors. The cigar kind of just ran over those two.
So that's interesting because it almost makes me think that maybe you need to step it down even another notch. Like maybe even the Hemingway might be too much, and maybe I should be talking about it just a really, really light, subtle. So like you mentioned, the Illusion at the Epernay.
Yep.
I think that might actually go really well because the Epernay is really subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious to see how that would go. The only one I have is the La Petite, which is pretty small, so I didn't know that I'd be able to make it through all the pairings with it. So.
Well, I think we'll probably have to do some side pairing, maybe not tonight, but at another time. And I think I've got an Epernay sitting in my cabinet, so maybe try that out with the cider because I think that might be a better option.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on. It's been delicious, but not quite what I was expecting. So here goes the Dukes. Ooh, wow. Woo. Okay, so that is a lot more flavor than the previous three, and I think in a good way. Like, it smells like apple in a glass.
Yeah.
It's actually cutting right through the cigar. It's cutting through the sort of leathery finish. It's tart, but it's not too tart. Which one are you on?
I'm going over to the Reverend Nats hard cider. So this is the hops and apricot cider. It's got the apricot smell to it, kind of a dried apricot. But the taste doesn't really match the smell.
Interesting.
You almost kind of get that the hit of beer with the added hops. But it's pretty dry. It's got a little bit of sweetness kind of at the end.
So, do you find that the apricot is drowning out the rest of the apple, or is what's the dominant flavor coming through?
Yeah, I don't really taste any. Well, yeah, I don't really taste much apple out of it. It might be similar to the blackthorn, where it was really a tame apple juice, without the sweetness kind of thing, where it's just really dry. You get a little bit of apricot, but not the same that you get from the aroma from it. For me, I just think it's kind of weak.
I think at the end of the day, these are all pretty light beverages. I think an apple cider, it's not like the pumpkin pairing we were doing, where the pumpkin beer is supposed to be really powerful and have the spicy quality.
Right.
really what we're talking about is a very subtle beverage. I mean, like you said, literally apple juice with booze in it. And so far, I mean, at least for half of these, they really are like apple juice with booze, which, I mean, that's great. If you want to get hammered,
Yep.
What a great way to do it, because you're drinking apple juice. You have two of those. You know, you go for a game afterwards, you're going to be pretty wobbly.
Yep.
So I'd say so far, the this Duke's. I mean, again, I don't think it's necessarily the best pairing in the world, but of the four we've done so far, definitely standing up on its own the most. Because, I mean, there's this sort of very, it's a very strong apple finish that doesn't drop off. It's not dry. It's not too sweet. It's got a lot more character, I think, than the other three.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna cycle through again.
Yep.
Because I'm sure my palate is completely blown now. I'm definitely getting more apple off the first one now. Still can't really pick much off the Magners. Strongbow just, I mean, it smells like Strongbow, which is, you know, that, like you said, the champagne-y, sort of more of the dry champagne-y flavor, or
right.
nose, I should say. And then the last one is definitely it's definitely the most apple of all four. I mean, if I were to define it as apple being the predominant flavor, it's on a totally different planet than the other three, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I went back to the Blackthorn. It's similar to how I had it the first time. It really is apple juice without the sweetness. But it's good actually. I mean, I know I said I probably wouldn't go get another can, but somebody that doesn't really like a lot of alcohol, doesn't like the alcohol flavor, they could drink this all day and not have a problem with it.
And what's interesting is after going through all four, I'm actually enjoying this the Wildwood more now after going through, and it could just be that my palate needed to acclimate. But I'm getting more apple off of it, and it's less champagne-y than it was when I started. But I mean, absolutely, a full-bodied cigar is the wrong way to go here.
Yeah.
I think, something subtle, light, hayish, maybe Cuban. As our audience suggested, maybe something with a Cameroon wrapper might be the way to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And try that Magners again.
Yeah, I went back to the Stella. The Stella is the best pairing, and it's because of the sweetness. At least with this cigar, they just have they have a good contrast between each other. One doesn't overpower the other, so you can go back and forth, and you can pick out the flavors from each one without them kind of running over each other.
Which in the end, I mean, we can go for complementary, we can go for contrasting, but I think for me, what I was hoping to get out of it is that is, you get some flavors from the cider, you go back to the cigar, you get some flavors from the cigar, and they wouldn't run over each other. And I think you probably have a much better choice in the cigar than I do. I'm gonna blame our audience. I think they have to take some responsibility for this choice.
Of course.
I was absolutely leaning towards the Fuente. That was what I was going to land on.
Yeah, I would be very interested to see how that would work out.
What I should have done is I should have brought out a couple different cigars and tried them. But that's all right, audience. I'll forgive you for next time.
Maybe your Nub Connecticut from a couple weeks ago might have been a good one for this week.
I think you're right. That would have been very, very hay, very light, very woody. Which is funny because The other cigar that was on the list was the Black Label Trading Company, the Salvation. And Matt, when he reviewed it, mentioned that he got a lot of wood and sort of dried wood elements out of it. And I'm beginning to think that that actually might have been an also excellent choice here with the ciders.
Right.
Still finding this Magners, just and not great on its own, but not the way to go with the cigar. And the strongbow, the dryness of the strongbow is definitely coming through. But I mean, when I drink strongbow on its own, I almost find it too tart sometimes, like too dry.
Right.
And the cigar is so strong that it's just completely running over that. Like I can't get any of that at all with the cigar.
Yeah. I went back to the Fin River Blackcurrant, and that powdery sensation is there again on that first sip.
It's interesting. I wonder if it must be the cigar that's bringing that out.
Yeah.
So is it like it's like a mouth feel, like a texture that you're getting?
It's not really like a gritty texture or anything like that. It's just like
like
sure
like
how,
would you say like a mixed drink, like a powdered drink kind of thing?
Yeah, so something that's going to be some sort of a powdered flavoring. How you kind of get that initial, like maybe like a pixie stick, something like that, where it's like just the sugar, kind of like the granular sugar, but you're not getting the gritty texture. You're just getting that kind of I don't know. It almost feels like all those a bunch of flavor crystals that are just kind of like there for a second, kind of thing.
Now the real question is, would you drink that on its own? Like if you weren't pairing, is that something you'd go back to?
I would. I really like blackcurrant, and once you get a couple of sips in, that powdery sensation or flavor goes away. It might be something that got to you pretty quick, because if you're just going to keep sipping it real fast to keep that away, you might really find the effects of it hitting you quicker.
I just want to take a second. We aren't doing commercial breaks this episode because we're not being rebroadcast by the Armed Forces Radio Network, so we can swear. But I want to give a shout out to Lighters Direct. I won a really cool Lotus lighter from them a couple weeks ago. Really, really digging this lighter. So I just want to give some props to them. It's as you can see, it's kind of got that cool red color to it. It's got a really, really nice slide action, single torch, so you don't burn the hell out of your wrapper. And I've actually been finding myself carrying it around, using it a lot more than some of my other lighters, probably because it's new. And well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame Google for that one.
Yep.
I think in all the time that we've been doing Hangouts and all the time that we're doing cigar chats, I don't know we've ever had our hosts kicked off.
Wow.
So apologies to our audience there, who probably, if you're listening on podcast, you just got a ton of dead air. Not our fault. I'm going to firmly put the blame on the shoulders of Google for that one. Wow. Anyway, back to what we're talking about, which is booze and cigars. So I'm going to go back to my last one here. I think this is the winner of the not-so-awesome pairings tonight, Duke Cider. If you see it, pick it up. It's a really, really nice apple cider. Again, I'm not getting a lot of booze off of it. It doesn't have that alcohol quality, but it does have a lot of apple flavor without a lot of sweetness and tartness to it. And I'm sure it has to do with the type of apples they're using for the brewing process there. If you had to pick a favorite, what would your favorite be for tonight?
Yeah, I'd go with the Stella.
Stella?
Yeah, this. The Reverend Nats, though, since it's got the hops in it, that might appeal to someone that doesn't drink a lot of ciders, is more of a beer kind of person. That might be a good entry for them into the world of cider. You know, the apricot isn't really a big flavor in there, but the hops does give you kind of that a little bit of that fallback on the beer experience.
Stands out with more character. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Aaron: Are you a football guy? Do you watch football?
I do watch football.
Have you looked at because Rob and I usually do a thing at the end of the show. That is when he shows up, and I'm busting his balls, but the guy's sick and he tried to make it. Fortunately, we get you, so that's a positive. But usually at the end of every segment, and before Google hopefully craps the bed again here, we do our NFL segment, or we started to do our NFL segment. Have you looked at the picks for this coming weekend at all?
Yeah, I did take a look, and this is a pretty interesting week. I think there's a lot of tight matchups.
So I don't even know where Rob and I stand right now, and I'm just going to pretend like I'm winning because that makes me feel better, and it's my show.
Right.
But I'll start with the Thursday show, get your thoughts, and maybe we'll just march on through.
Sure.
So first of all, a classic matchup on Thursday, San Diego versus Denver. It's going to be in Denver. What are your thoughts?
Broncos are undefeated at home, so I'm probably going to stick with that kind of theme. I know they're really strong at home. The Chargers have a good defense, so that makes it a little tougher. I'm just not sure which team does the best on the short rest, so I would go with the Broncos, though.
I'm going to agree with you, not just because you're a guest and I'm being nice, but Denver in Mile High Stadium is so hard to beat. Manning has just hit his stride for the season. I think San Diego's played some really good ball. I think they're going to be a really good contention for the postseason. But I think I'm going to have to give this one to Denver. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be like a really, really good competitive game, but I think I'm going to have to give it to Denver.
Yep.
Now, I'm not sure if I'm not sure what the timing is in this game, and I'm assuming NFL has it wrong, but they've got the Atlanta-Detroit game at 9:30 a.m. And that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah. It doesn't.
So Atlanta is hosting Detroit. What are your thoughts?
Atlanta should be a high-scoring team, and I don't know what's going on with these guys. They have amazing receivers. They have a good quarterback. I just don't know what's happening with them. The Lions got a good defense. They both play in Dome Stadium, so I don't know that anybody really has an advantage here. They're both playing in their home environment. So at some point, Matt Ryan has to go off for 500-something yards, and I would maybe say that this might be the week for them, and the Falcons will win it.
Wow. All right. That is a bold prediction. I think this is going to be a defensive game. I think that I agree with you. I'm surprised that Matt Ryan hasn't just gone off. I saw them at Hard Knocks. I thought he looked good. I think they've looked good in some games this season. Now my lighter's not working because it's too cold out. Blame Canada. But I think this is going to be again. I think a lot of these games are going to be close. I'm going to give this one to Detroit. I think it's going to come down to one of these games where it's the last 2 minutes and Detroit marches down the field and kicks a field goal.
All right.
So you're going with Atlanta on that? You're thinking Matt Ryan's just going to light it up?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do it at some point. I know the Lions got a good D, but the Falcons just have two good receivers. At some point, they have to get open.
There we go. Doc Will from our audience just educated me, and that explains everything. The game is in England, of course. The time is.
There you go.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. That makes perfect sense now because I'm looking at that. I'm like, why is the game at 9:30?
So now they're not playing in the Dome.
Not playing in the Dome.
Yeah. So now we'll see what happens.
Next up, classic matchup. You got Seattle, who's at times looked really shaky this season, versus Carolina, who not sure what's going on there. Carolina's hosting.
I watched the game last week for the Seahawks, and the Rams really made them look silly.
It was embarrassing.
It was. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Seahawks, and if they're gonna, if they're gonna be really down for 3 weeks in a row. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
I'm going to agree with you, and I think this one might bite me because I think the Seahawks have been so inconsistent, and I'm worried that this is one of those games where, especially with Carolina hosting at home, Carolina just lights it up. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. Classic divisional matchup: Baltimore Ravens in Cincinnati to face the Bengals.
The Bengals are supposed to be good. I'm not sure what's happened with them lately. They started out pretty good.
Coming off a bye week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go lean to the Ravens on this side. Flacco's going to earn a little bit of his money this week, I think.
I think we might be very consistent on the picks because I'm with you. Again, it might bite me because it's at home for the Bengals, but the Ravens looked good. Good enough to beat the Bengals, and I don't know why the Bengals have been more dominant in some of the games. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think you're going to see a lot of turnovers deciding this game.
Yeah.
My divisional rivals, the Miami Dolphins, facing Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville.
I don't really have anything good to say about the Jags, so let's go Dolphins.
First of all, fuck the Dolphins, but as much as I hate them, I have to respect them. I think Tannehill has looked good. I think they looked good last week, and Jacksonville, although they have some wins, or a win,
yeah.
I don't think they're going to beat the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are hitting their stride, and I think the Dolphins are going to blow them out at home, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not a long of enough road trip for the Dolphins to not have that Florida advantage.
Yeah. Interesting one here. The Rams facing Kansas City in Kansas City.
Yeah, this one I don't know. I mean, they looked really good against the Seahawks last week, and that was all special teams, I think. Kansas City at home, I just think that they're just gonna be able to, I'm not steamroll, but they'll have enough of an advantage all the way through. They'll win it.
I feel like this is the ultimate trap game because I look at that matchup, and even after the Rams' dominant performance last week, I go, you know what? Kansas City doesn't get a lot of the Chiefs don't get a lot of respect. I think they're a tough team. I think especially at home they play tough, and I'm going to give this one to the Rams.
All right.
Chicago facing New England in Foxborough.
The Brandon Marshall tirade is not going to be enough to get these guys to play well. And I think Tom Brady now with everybody hating on him and thinking that they're going to trade him to the Texans or whatever else everybody wants to say that it's going to happen. I think they're probably going to embarrass the Bears, this week.
I mean, fuck Tom Brady and fuck the Patriots, but I respect them. They started out shaky, but they always start out shaky. You can't go to Foxborough and beat New England. Like, they're just so dominant at home. I think this is going to be ugly. If you're a Chicago fan, I'm sorry, but I think the Patriots are probably going to embarrass you this weekend. It's going to be really ugly.
Yep.
On to the shit show game of the week. Buffalo Bills facing the New York Jets in New York.
I have a bunch of upstate New York friends that are Bills lovers. I'm not a big Bills fan, but I know you're a Jets fan, but the Jets look downright laughable this season. So I will go with the Bills on this one, even though the Jets, I think, are a little bit favored on it.
Now, this is going to make me look like a homer, but I think in the games where the Jets have shown up, last week was a good example. I think they put up a lot more fight against the Patriots than I was expecting them to. With the acquisition of Percy Harvin, which is a great target that they desperately needed, I think the Jets are going to pull this one out. I don't think it's going to be a dominant win, but I think it's going to be a consistent win. I think you're going to see the Jets pull it together. I think you're going to see them do some stuff on offense, and I think the Jets are going to win this one.
Yeah.
Vikings versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right. So at some point, the Buccaneers are going to have to win a game at home. I don't know. The Vikings, I don't know what to say about either one of these teams. They both suck, but I think Buccaneers at home have to have somewhat of a slight advantage, and I will give it to the Bucs this week.
I honestly don't know where to go with this. I agree with you. I don't think either team has been playing good ball this year. I should give it to Tampa because it's at home, but just to be a rabble rouser, I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Houston Texans is another one of these. Is the Houston Texans going to Tennessee to face the Titans?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. I think the Titans show flashes of brilliance at times, but I don't know that they can be relied on. I think the Texans just have a better team. So I'm going to go with the Texans this week.
Okay, well, I'm going to split it. I know they've got Fitzmagic, and they've got a dominant defense, but I think this is going to be the game where the Titans get their shit together and pull it out. So I'm going to go with the Titans at home on this one.
All right.
Eagles versus the Cardinals in Arizona.
This could be the game of the week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both doing way better than I think anybody expected them to do this year.
One loss each, yep.
Yep, they've both been really, looking really good. I think I'm just going to give it home field advantage pretty much in this game. I think they're pretty evenly matched, so I'll go Cardinals.
I think the Eagles are coming off a bye here. Cardinals, I don't think they're getting a lot of respect for a team that's only got one loss and leading their division. And they're at home. I think the Cardinals are going to be the clear victor here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make of this next game. I know that Catfish is a huge Raiders fan. Raiders go to Cleveland to face the Browns. The Browns just looked absolutely anemic last week. A lot of people got burned on their picks. I got burned on my pick. What do you think of that game?
I'm probably going to make a bunch of enemies on this, but I think if you're a Raiders fan, you pretty much, I don't know, I'm not sure what to say about you. Your loyalty overpowers anything else in your life. The team has given up on the fans, the organization itself. I'm just not sure how anyone wouldn't have jumped ship and picked another team by now. I don't see them winning this game. I won't pick them in one game this season until they show me they can win a game. So I'm going to go Browns.
I've got a secret love for the Browns. I feel like, they're absolutely, they haven't done well in the past seasons, but they pull out these major victories over teams that are Super Bowl teams. Last week, I don't think you really saw what they're capable of. I'm sorry to the Raiders, but even with Sparano in place, I think you're going to slide. I think the Browns take this one. It's not going to be a big victory, but I think the Browns are going to take this one. Another interesting matchup for the week, Indianapolis Colts versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think this is be another tough matchup. Luck is a solid guy. I'm not sure how you can really pick against him. But Steelers at home, I think, is a tough matchup. I think it'll probably be pretty close. And if it's if the Eagles-Cardinals game doesn't make the game of the week, this one might be the runner-up. But I'll still go with the Colts.
I'm going to go with the Colts as well. I feel like this is maybe another trap game because Pittsburgh has this habit of coming out in a game like this where maybe they're not getting a lot of respect and just showing up in spades and just blowing out an opponent defensively and offensively. But the way the Colts have been playing lately, I don't see me picking anybody other than the Colts.
Yeah.
Last two games, Packers in New Orleans to face the Saints.
I think this game's going to be nothing but a shootout. Playing in New Orleans in the Dome on the fast turf, I think it's just going to be Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are just going to go back and forth throwing touchdown passes the whole game. Probably going to be the highest total score for the week. But I think I'll still go with the Packers.
I am also going with the Packers. I think if you look at Aaron Rodgers' passer rating for this season, it's just been through the roof. That's no disrespect to Drew Brees because Drew Brees is amazing. But I think the Packers, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a complete shootout. Great game for the Sunday night game. You couldn't really pick a better matchup.
Right.
It's going to be very exciting offensively. It'll be right down to the wire, but I'm going to give this one to Rodgers.
Yep.
Last but not least, division matchup. Dallas inexplicably leading the division. Don't know how that happened. Redskins are going to Dallas to face the Cowboys at home.
All right, so I'll preface this. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Go Cowboys!
I grew up with Danny White and Tony Dorsett. That's how I started. So this is the ultimate rivalry in football, I think.
Absolutely.
So Dallas at home. Even though I'm a Dallas fan, I'm waiting for the letdown, and I don't know if it's going to happen during the regular
true
season.
Dallas fan. True Dallas fan right there.
Yeah, or I think, you know what? I think that they're going to have an awesome regular season, and they're just going to break my heart in the playoffs. It's just the way it's going to go. I just don't see us ever winning anything until Tony Romo's gone. But they're going to win this game.
I think that with the division matchup on the line, and the Cowboys have seemingly got the crap together. You got Murray just running all over the place. I think that the Cowboys are going to embarrass the Redskins. It's a Monday night game, and I think you're going to see people complaining about this game because I think the Cowboys are going to take this one and just absolutely run with it. Go Cowboys.
Hopefully, yeah.
So that's pretty much a wrap. Aaron, I want to really thank you for coming out, especially on short notice. Maybe not the best pairing show we've done because apparently apple cider is maybe not the way to go for a lot of pairings. But I think what we'll do is have you on a show and do something exciting like bourbon or whiskey.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd appreciate it.
If you guys haven't been to Blind Man's Puff, you should go to Blind Man's Puff. Check it out. Appreciate everyone showing up. Thanks very much for podcast listeners. I know you guys are out there. You don't necessarily get a lot of love. Please tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for DeCrossier. You might see me on tomorrow night, depending on how sickly Rob is, but I know he's pretty excited to talk to Santana. It's going to be a really good show. Don't miss this one. Please tune in next week where Rob and I are going to do some classic cocktails at a regular time as I freeze my tail off, probably in snow, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday.
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate having me on the show. Oh, sorry,
right.
John.
No worries, man.
Thanks, Rob, for getting sick. I know you're not really sick. You're just watching the Giants play, so that's okay. Let me.
That's really what the truth is. He was perfectly fine. He just could not. He's such a baseball fan that he's throwing me under the tires.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm 50 minutes away from Rob, so the geographical layout of the show is still intact.
Nice. All right, so everyone, as I always say, drink better, drink responsibly, drink less, and hope to see you all tomorrow night for Cigar Chat.